Oh, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So there's not very many buildings left on the Natchez Trace that are original.
Still standing.
Well, yeah, still standing. This one is John Gordon. He built it in 1817, 1818, and he was the ferry operator for the ferry. He went off, didn't he? He went off with somebody military. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank.
But he had a agreement with the Chickasaw Nation.
Yes, one of them.
To operate the ferry.
But anyways, he died. It took 2 years to build this house. His wife watched it while he was off doing something, and when he come back, he basically died. And then she lived in here till 1859.
Another 40 years.
Yeah. But these old homes are so cool. They're just so simple the way they build them. They build them in like blocks. At least that's how my head looks at it. I wish it was open so you could see inside it, but you can't. Really cool. And then the ferry is like about a half a mile that way. And he was a ferry operator. Isn't that the Duck River?
Duck River.
Duck River. Pretty cool. Love to see inside of it.
Folks, we are, hope you can see that. That is an old tobacco barn, and we're going to drive a 2 mile, did it say 2 mile?
Yes, gets back on the trace.
This is the old trace actually that we're going to drive, so hopefully we'll be able to get some good photos.
Of my hitch.
Of your hitch.
But the GoPro, this is the Hero Plus. The battery, you cannot take the battery out of it, and the battery is shot in it. It's 2 years old, a year and a half old.
Yeah.
And so it has to be plugged in, and I bring my extension, so she's limited to how much she can move it.
I'll try not to move too fast.
Sorry, folks.
Oh, so sorry, because this is beautiful.
But this path we're on is the old trace, right?
It is the old trace.
Yeah.
So this would have been wide enough for wagons through here. They said if the trace wasn't wide enough for a wagon, they found another way to go. There weren't a whole lot of wagons on the trace, though, from what I recall reading. I am by no means a historian.
No, but everything we've stopped and read so far is foot traffic and horses.
Yeah.
Meriwether Lewis, where he was yesterday,
There's a redbird.
left the Louisiana Purchase and was heading to Philadelphia when he died where he died, but I can't imagine him walking.
No. And he was at a stand or an inn. Look how pretty this is. This would be cool. So he was at a stand when he mysteriously died. So he was spending the night there, or 2 nights, in that little inn. Look at this. Sorry, it's a little rough. I'm sure it's not near as rough as it could have been in the spring with all the rain when they were actually doing it.
Well, they did this in the
back
fall.
then. They did it in the fall?
Yeah, because they brought all their crops and all their everything they brought down was from harvest.
Oh, well, there you go.
So they's coming back up here in the fall. And hitting cold temperatures like we did last night.
Yeah. I'm trying to get acclimated to wearing shoes again.
And pants.
The pants aren't as bad as the shoes. For me. But it was cold last night. It got down to like 36. And we noticed on the trace coming up down south, we left palm trees, went into some pine trees, then we had trees that had all their leaves on them, and now we're up here where they're just starting to get leaves.
Dogwoods up here are just starting to bloom.
The dogwoods are beautiful.
I will say this about the trace. I thought there would be more physical things to see at the trace. Probably 70% of the pull-offs is just a board and it explains what happened there, but there's nothing else there. There's just either a wood lined or a field, or there's nothing there, but you can stop and read that so-and-so did something there, or, you know, or Grant brought his troops up through there or something.
Right.
But I thought, and I'm not complaining because I've really enjoyed this and I'd do it again, but it I thought there's more physical, more buildings, more stuff like that on it, is all. But I've really enjoyed it, and I would do it again. I'd love to do it on the bike.
Oh yeah, and I'm assuming that with all of those little pull-offs, that's why it's so popular with the bicyclists. I mean, we ran into a ton of bicyclists.
Yes. And we talked to a couple that parked their stuff down in Natchez, got on their bikes, and are riding them to Nashville, and then they're going to get a rental car and go back down, but they're doing 50 miles a day up this trace. They said it'll take them about 11 days when it's all said and done. And it's taking us 7.
Yeah. But and they're camping along the way. So they had all their camping gear and all of that. So, and they said that, you know, they just found a spot and would camp. But
I don't think they're as restricted to the sites as we are.
Right.
But I will say this, what I've learned about the trace is a lot of the pull-offs you can stay in if there's nothing there. I have seen people staying in parking lots, not necessarily campgrounds. When the campgrounds are full, they'll go off into a parking lot somewhere and stay. And it doesn't say no camping, but all they're doing is going in and overnighting. We've noticed that a lot. We haven't done it. We've stayed at all 3 of the campgrounds, and all 3 have plenty of room. They're all paved, and they're either a pull-through site or a back-end site.
Yeah, now this one that we're at now at the Meriwether, it has the most camping sites, but it was full yesterday by 1 o'clock.
Oh yeah, if you're not in by noon, you're going to be doing good to try to get a spot. That's a fact. We've noticed that in all 3 of them.
And I noticed that most people are leaving by 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you're planning to come, you know, try to plan to be there in the campgrounds, you know, by 9 or 10 in the morning. Now we've planned our trip so we could camp, and then we'd go out in the car for a day, and then we'd do a little more of the trace and go out in the car for the day or so, which is that's how they told us the trace campgrounds were designed, was so we could come in and camp and, you know, explore the trace and then go back. That's why there's 3 of them.
Where they're located at.
Right. And I noticed we saw the last 2 days we've seen a lot more deer. saw a beautiful tom this morning. He had his feathers out and strutting really proud for us. But boy, there's some big turkey too, aren't they?
Yes. You have to watch out. I'm changing the subject. I'm squirreling, but we was talking about bikes earlier, and the bikes have the right of way. You have to at least give them 3 foot. Is that the law?
3 foot.
3 foot. So you have to at least get halfway out of the lane and into the other lane. And in my opinion, it is very, very dangerous for the bicycle and for the big RV that's passing them. I wish, and I know they got as much right, and I don't mean that they shouldn't be on here by no means, but they almost need a separate bike lane for them, because the Trace in spots is so curvy and hilly that by the time you slow down, you start to get over in the lane, you don't see nothing coming. Before you can get back in, you got a car within 50 yards of you coming around a curve.
Right.
You know, it's just, and these bikes, buddy, they take full advantage because they're allowed to use the full lane. They don't have to stay on the white line. And it says it all the way down through. They can use the full lane, so they'll ride side by side. And I personally think it's dangerous, but you know, it is what it is. You just have to be careful. We haven't. I don't know. I got on a couple on the GoPro. I have to throw in here, but there's a. I ain't gonna say it was close, but it could have been. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the Trace is pretty. I'd love to do it in the fall. Head south in the fall with the change of the trees up in this area.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool though to see, you know, the changes from the south coming up. Like I said, with the leaves, and now we're just getting buds and little bitty tiny leaves coming out.
And a lot of French.
There are a lot of French on the Trace.
A lot from Quebec. Yes, you get in some of these the middle campground we was in, the only Americans was us and a couple from Alaska, and the rest was all Quebec, and a couple from Canada, from Ontario, I mean.
Yeah. You know, we talk to the ones that speak English, but obviously there's a language barrier with the French, so but they have it all planned out how they're coming. And you know, even at that first campsite that we stopped at, those folks, they plan, and they were staying at that campsite for what, a week?
Mm-hmm. You stay 2 weeks at each one, so you could spend 6 weeks on here. But I told Julie they must have an app or a way that they communicate, because buddy, they all meet up, and then they travel separate. And the group we seen in the first campsite, we've seen at the second and the third.
They're just now getting to the third.
Yeah, they're not moving as fast as we are, but they're trying to. The one guy told us most of them are coming from Texas. He was from Quebec.
Yeah.
They stay down in Texas and they're working their way back just really slow because it's still cold up there. So, which makes sense.
Yeah. Looks like they paved a little bit of this road.
It does. We can go faster.
Yay.
But I would recommend the Trace for anybody that is not in a hurry and, you know, you're heading in that direction, or you have the ability to get to that direction. If that makes any sense. But it's a relaxing drive.
Yeah.
They say 55 foot overall is the length and 14 foot is the height. But I have seen 45 foot coaches with toads behind them. I'm a 38 foot coach with a toad behind me, and I'm at 54 feet. So you know these 45s are well over the 55, and they're still getting in every one of these campgrounds. You can get your slide out. We've not had a problem getting our slide out in any of them. Now, I'm not saying they're not a little snug. You really have to pay attention maneuvering your way through, but they're not bad.
Okay, so we're back to the real Trace, well, to the paved one. One thing I don't know if we said, I don't remember, but that 2 mile pull-off, it's no RVs allowed. And you know, there were some spots of it I'm sure y'all saw that were pretty rough, so I don't know that I'd want to have my RV back there.
Oh, I wouldn't come up that gravel road.
No. So.
Alrighty, off to the next adventure.